So I am going to talk to you about what Natural England are doing in terms of the space of evidence currently and then a forward look into the future. Now, this is, the title indicated practice, but as Anjali mentioned this morning, part of our role is to give advice as one of the statutory nature conservation agencies to UK government. So what we really do is on that continuum between practice and policy. So forgive me, I'm going to probably cover the spectrum of advice and why we use evidence that will stretch from not only practice but through to policy as well. So who are Natural England? Natural England are one of the 4 statutory nature conservation agencies who advise their either their devolved governments or UK government, and we also work with JNCC, who coordinate us as well at the UK level. And what's great about today is pretty much all of us are in the room today, or were, unless we've had to go and get trains home. So I'll offer that SNCB role that Anjali mentioned this morning. And yes, so let's get going. So we've heard a lot today, and I kind of feel I should be straying over to the pulpit just now to preach to the converted. You all know what I'm going to say today, but just for the sake of completeness, I really need to stress that we need to act with urgency. And to act with urgency, we need the right evidence, although I'm going to maybe have a few questions about that towards the end of the talk. So we've just released our new strategy. It's already been referenced by Craig earlier. And our strategy was responding to the stark fact that we're simply not achieving the positive outcomes for nature that we need to. So, for instance, 40% of UK species are in decline. 25% of our mammals are threatened with extinction. We have 75 million fewer birds over the past 50 years. And earthworms have declined by 33% in the past 25 years. And we are fast running out of time to meet our 2030 targets if we're to halt the decline of species abundance. So we're not in great shape. Why is this important? Because we are starting to run into high risk with the nature and the services that nature provides us. So the World Economic Forum and the Global Tipping Points analyses that were published last year are showing us that warm water coral reefs are likely to have passed the tipping point due to ocean heating, threatening marine biodiversity and the livelihoods of nearly 1 billion people. Other ecosystems at risk include the Amazon rainforest, Greenland and West Arctic ice sheets, further increasing that negative feedback loop through climate change and the thawing of the Arctic permafrost as well, which will continue to release more methane, further increasing that negative feedback loop. And the dramatic reduction in earthworms I mentioned in the last slide. Why does that matter? It's critical for our food security. So we need to care about these things. So where are we now? We've heard a lot today, particularly in the talks this afternoon, that nature is missing from a lot of our discussions and our decisions, and Craig touched on this as well. We know that up until recently, the links between biodiversity loss and economics hadn't been made. So we were talking about the market value of commodities rather than accounting for the shadow value of the ecosystems that support those commodities. And I'm an ex-forester, and if you ask a forester when the best time to plant trees is, they will always say 20 years ago. So that's how we should be thinking about our nature loss. So this has come to our attention a while ago now, and I just want to touch briefly on the Disruptor review. So this is not new news now. And in 2021, Professor Parthra Dasgupta from Cambridge led the economics of biodiversity study, and the review puts biodiversity at its heart and urgently provides the compass that we need to make that link between economics and ecology. So that's starting to bring the ecology into the space of economics. So I mentioned briefly our strategy. I can't believe that's my phone going off. I'm so embarrassed. I'm having a nightmare with technology today. But we just put it outside. Sorry. Looping back to our strategy, despite all these technological hitches, there are 4 ambitions within our strategy. And they're quite different to the strategies that we've released before. So the first one is around recovering nature, and that's restoring forwards our natural systems to tackle the root cause of nature decline, enable thriving wildlife and building resilient landscapes. That's not ignoring the protected and species habitats that we're already working so hard to shore up, but it's giving them that ecological stability of functioning ecosystems, which will hopefully make their future more dependable and more sustainable. We've talked about, again, Craig touched on the challenge around economic growth, but we know, and Dasgupta has showed us, that nature is a critical part of economic growth. So by integrating nature into development and planning to create greener, healthier, and more investable places, we will achieve economic growth with nature. We've got strong links now between improving nature and improving health and well-being. We know that this can save our health services money and tackle the root causes of critical health issues if nature is accessible to all of our populations. And we are also now, as I mentioned earlier, the link between biodiversity loss and food security, seeing the links between nature decline and issues around security, including food security, climate security, population migration. We're seeing all this play out. So where do we go? So what's our role in Natural England? And this is hot on the heels, in lockstep with the release of the Natural England strategy. We also, the month after, released the Science Evidence and Analysis Framework, or SEAF to its friends. So this gives us the how. How are we going to use science and evidence to underpin the strategy and support government to deliver its aims? So we're looking for new evidence to meet these new challenges I've just set out. The first time we're using areas of research interest. I'm really excited that we have funders, researchers, policy advisors, and practitioners all in this room. We need to do more of that. We all need to be talking as we start to embark on our research, our policy development. We've seen policy cycles from Anjali, they've been touched on through the day. But we need to be having those conversations with all of you so we can shape the research agenda to provide us with the evidence we need to effectively advise government going forward. So I hope this QR code works. If you click through to that, someone please give me a thumbs up. That will take you through to our areas of research interest and the document, thank you, it's working, to learn more about the strategy and how you might like to get involved with us. We are not the thought leaders in all of this space, so we want to work with you, the thought leaders in this space, so the science we're producing is credible, defensible, and up to the challenge. So part of the SEAF is around monitoring and evaluation, so I'll just take a little bit of time on that. So what we're looking to do is to raise the bar on our evaluation quality by ensuring that we've got clearer standards and applying more robust methods to understanding the impact of interventions. And so we are making more confident and evidence-led decisions. To embed evaluation from the start, we've heard a lot about that today as well. We are great at setting on, this is a collective, setting off on these great projects. We don't monitor the baseline. We don't monitor the outputs. So how do we know that those interventions have been effective? So we need to build in from the start and get that evaluation sorted and critically get it funded as well. So we can learn and improve our decision making. We need to accelerate our digital innovation by embracing some of the tools we've heard more about today, empower public engagement, use citizen science, encourage more of our citizens to take forward citizen science, and build on our analytical and statistical capability by improving our expertise in this area. So I'm just going to go back to the present, and I'm not going to dwell on this because Anjali talked quite a lot about this this morning. This is around what we're doing now, monitoring and evaluating to ensure and chart the progress of actions to protect our sites on land and sea, action for our protected species recovery, and our agri-environment and environmental land management schemes. And if I'd had a premonition, I could have included some data on that. Sadly, I can't. So I'm just in 3 minutes. I'm nowhere near halfway through, so I'll accelerate. And we need to increase our understanding of the environment. Looking forwards, I won't dwell on this because you will be familiar with the ecosystem approach. This is what our CF is pointing towards. We've talked about bringing in economics. We need to bring in social and behavioral skills. We're going to hear a little bit more about that this afternoon. We need to think about the economics of valuing nurturing services, but critically, the technology, I think, can help us unlock our understanding of ecosystem function, ecological function, so we can repair forwards, so we have resilient ecosystems that protect not only the species and habitats that depend on them, but also society going forwards. So again, I'm not going to dwell on this. We've talked a lot about the potential for autonomous technology and AI to help us to get to that space. Again, this is around those shifting evidence needs, think about the quality and location of systems, and what we need to be able to set the baselines, repeat, so we can understand our impacts on ecosystem recovery. How are we collecting this data? We've already started. We've heard about the National Capital Ecosystem Assessment already today. This is a multi-partner approach. Partners are along the bottom, and a multi-million-pound piece of work, which is looking at driving forward our environmental data on our environmental assets and ecosystems to unlock that understanding I'm talking about. The products are starting to come online. There's a web link there, so you can chart what products are coming online. I'll just spend 1 minute talking about the England ecosystem, the England peat map, which was released last year, which is a great case study in using field data, remote sense data, and machine learning to bring those together. And that's really starting to enable us to understand the health of our peatlands, which then enables us to be able to better predict and understand methane emissions, carbonisation, and where to target our restoration. If we're able to repeat this survey, we can then look at the effectiveness of that restoration. Again, Nature Returns is another great project which is developing and testing tools around nature-based solutions. So that is starting, again, a partnership project to look at the actions that have been taken on the ground in a controlled trial to measure soils, vegetation, and gas fluxes from things like hedgerow restoration. So for the first time ever, we are now understanding the carbon sequestration from hedgerows, which is pretty cool. Not only that, these projects are really starting to have benefits at the local level by bringing communities together. Jake gave an excellent presentation on working with farmers. We found it's really corralled will to change through these nature-based solutions as well. Another QR code on there, I'm hoping it's going to work. This is around the state of natural capital. This is about making the invisible visible in terms of nature loss and why it matters, not just to the environment sector, but sectors across government and across our business, insurance and finance sectors as well. So this has provided the best available evidence, and you can interrogate all the appendices on data yourselves to check the rigor with which we've used, and it provides a state of the assets now, the risks, the threats, and actions that can be taken forward to underpin and start to restore that natural capital. I'll just skip to the end. I was going to talk about counting seals from AI. You may have seen this on the news last year. Who doesn't like seals and artificial intelligence? It's wonderful. Our users are not just government, they're public sector, private sector, finance, health and well-being, community and NGOs, of course. So to conclude, I'm going to go right back to the start. We need to act urgently. We're seeing rapid declines in our nature, and we need to build in those solutions that are required across many sectors. New evidence needs to be in new formats. It needs to be designed for real-world use. And as I said, it needs to have pathways to impact built in at the start. The shifts in technology are creating huge opportunities for evidence to shape decisions that support nature, society, and economy. But I'm going to leave you with a question. When do we think we've got enough evidence to take action now, monitor the results, and adapt as we go forwards? Because not taking action is also a decision. Thank you.